What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Rome, back with another video. If you're new to the platform, welcome to the tribe. And in this video, I hope you subscribe. Stop wasting any more time. We're gonna go ahead and jump into it.
Talk about Jeff's book, or the sort of subject matter, The British Bloke Decoded, which tries broadly to explain the behaviour of Britain's husbands, dads and brothers. Now, it's quite a light-hearted book.
From banter to man flu, everything finally explained.
There you go. All right, good promotion. Men have obviously and arguably taken a lot of flack, rightly, in the past few years. Many people would say post #MeToo.
His face as she said that.
Is this an attempt to rehabilitate the image of an average bloke?
Well, I suppose what I always thought was like that blokes are a subset species of men, and most blokes don't really have a huge amount of power in their own lives. They're sort of trying to be dependable, loving people for the people in their lives. They might not be the best at remembering important dates or even the names of their nephews and nieces, you know, like, but I think that it's an occasional rubbishness coming from a good place. So what I've tried to do in this book is just try to explain some of the more baffling behaviour of men, like, you know, the fact that we don't put on sun cream when we're on holiday, you know, maybe till the third day. It's easy to say, well, it's just bravado. And then I sort of thought about it more deeply and I thought, well, actually, we don't put on lotions more generally. So the moment we're on a beach and you have to navigate that bit of your lower back...
It's because you're not used to doing it.
We're not match fit, Joe. That's the thing. And you think that might be the first time we've touched that bit of our back that year. So I was trying to take a lot of these areas where men's behaviour is confusing and say, is there something deeper? And I think that they're light-hearted subjects like that, but there's also, you know, like loneliness and what happens to male friendships as we age.
Well, and when it comes to the serious points, we might come back to the application of sun cream later on, but in the Times, this headline, Rishi Sunak urged to appoint Minister for Men, suggested by a Conservative MP. New role would champion issues such as reducing male suicide. Would that be something you'd be in favour of?
Well, what's interesting about that is the hostility it sometimes faces whenever it comes up. I saw a programme where there was like a feminist academic and a Lib Dem MP, and they were so hostile to this idea. And I thought, if you flipped those things, i.e. that it's the biggest cause of death for men under 50 is suicide, men are less likely to go to the doctors, you know, men are less likely to maintain friendships. If that was for women, we'd often look at, well, why is society making that happen? Whereas with men, the argument is often, why are they doing that to themselves?
Okay, I'm going to just quickly check.
Well, that's an easy answer, bro. It's because it removes accountability from women. That's why. That's pretty much all it is, bro. All right, I ain't gonna waste a whole bunch of time explaining it yet. A lot of y'all that are watching, y'all probably said the same thing as soon as y'all said the same thing in the comments as soon as y'all heard him say that. Let's keep it moving.
It's the biggest cause of death for men under 50 is suicide. Men are less likely to go to the doctors, you know, men are less likely to maintain friendships. If that was for women, we'd often look at, well, why is society making that happen? Whereas with men, the argument is often, why are they doing that to themselves? So I'm not, like, totally wedded to the idea, but the hostility towards the idea, I find it instructive.
Ava?
I think that it feeds into the culture a little bit, this Minister for Men argument. Like, in my mind, I think there should be a Minister for Mental Health, which would be all-encompassing. I mean, you've got something like 7 million children waiting for prescriptions for mental health at the moment. It's a crisis that's endemic throughout the country, not specific to men. And I think, you know, a lot of ministers kind of bandy this about to sort of, I'm sorry, but make an enemy out of women. I think, not you, and I don't think your book is. I don't
accept that. I don't think it is to make an enemy. If we looked at during COVID, men were literally more likely to die from COVID. And I don't really want to cast myself as a meninist or one of these guys from the manosphere, because that's not who I am. But I do find it interesting that sometimes the arguments tend to throw it back.
But who was doing all the work during COVID? You know, a lot of the time, if you looked into people's households, it was the women who were taking on the laundry, the school care, all of that.
But I'm not disputing.
Ma'am, that was because for some women, the jobs that they did have were not essential. If y'all remember when COVID, because I think YouTube act funny about that, but apparently not. But I was fortunate enough to be working at a job where 75 to 80% of the stuff that we shipped out, because I used to work for a distribution center, most of the stuff that we shipped out was pharmaceuticals, and you know that's essential. So therefore, I still had to come to work and still had a job. Wearing a mask all the time sucked, but thank you by the grace of God, I had a job that was essential. So that's probably contributed to that. But of course she's gonna skip over that because as you can clearly see, bro, she is a full-blown feminist. Let's keep
All
it
of
moving.
that,
But
as,
I'm not
alongside doing their
disputing any of that.
jobs.
What I'm saying that there are specific issues that men face that might warrant specific attention. I mean, literally, the biggest killer of men under 50 is suicide. That is an arresting statistic. And if that doesn't warrant specific attention, mental health is an umbrella issue.
I have to say that is also because women are unsuccessful. That is a lot of that is feeds into that statistic.
I'm sorry, that's funny. What kind of response is that? We're just not as successful. Okay, no need for you to show off about your high suicide rates. Okay, we're trying.
Any space for this idea that men might have unique challenges that face them. And the problem is, even as I'm saying this, in my mind, it's like I've got out the violin and I don't want to
I'll
be.
read the book
I don't
and I'll
want to
change
be.
my
I don't
mind.
want to be this guy because that's part of the problem. Is because you're encouraged at one level is men need to talk about their problems more, and then the moment you do it, you're like, all right, but not quite so often and not quite so loud. So like you say, the book is not. The book is more light-hearted than that, but it certainly goes around these issues.
Francis?
I think it's about this issue. I've got a brother, a son, nephews. Paul Novak, one of my best mates, who's leading the TUC. When you look at masculinity, it sort of feels like boys are still brought up. You're not allowed to cry. You're not allowed to talk about your feelings. You've got to put on this bravado. And I think that has to change. But I also think that we have to change the fact that women still earn 15% less than men.
But no one's saying that you can't do both.
No, exactly.
We can multitask.
Exactly.
Can you multitask?
Well, not me personally, obviously, but I'm saying that. But I don't think that those are reasons to not address these problems.
No, I agree.
Francis.
But most women experience sexual harassment.
But I totally accept that. I don't understand what but it's happening again with this conversation where I'm talking about the specific issues that men face, and you're quoting other issues which I do not contest on any level.
Here's a proposal.
I'm seeming very chippy now, aren't I? I didn't expect
Why don't
to.
you launch BASH, Blokes Against Sexual Harassment?
Well, I'm totally against sexual harassment, of course I am.
But do something to support women, stand by women who are facing that in the way that women stand by men.
I'm like, now y'all see the girl who originally reacted to this video? Y'all see how she was responding when that older lady had the nerve to... Bro, both of these women who responded to him, they made the conversation all about women. They made it all about women, bro. That's why I find it funny when the first woman said, I think it feeds into this cultural gender war. But when he's opening up to you, all you did was make it about women. So who fucking fault is that? And then the older chick, I guess I gotta address this, man, because I already know y'all probably done mentioned it in the comments by now. Ma'am, I say this all the time when women bring up the pay wage gap. If that was true, why come companies aren't hiring mostly women so that way they can make more money? Not to mention, it's illegal. Like, it's literally illegal. Like, companies can go down for that. And companies are smart enough to know this, that, hey, well, if that was true, well, you know what? Let's just hire more women and less men. Duh. Especially with these companies being as greedy as they are, for y'all to even think that's true, God.
You stupid.
Yeah, I had to use the stupid clip on that one. Jesus Christ, man. Let's keep
the internet today, and you see this huge swell within men's work, within the manosphere, within Red Pill, certain figures that are online that have just had a meteoric rise. In many ways, it's because they're speaking to the sort of cultural underpinnings of what men are experiencing. We're living through one of the first times, in my opinion, in almost all of history, all of known history, where masculinity isn't getting defined by men, right? Culturally, if you look at what makes a good man and what makes a man masculine, there's sort of this battle for being able to define it. And I think it was Yuval Harari in Sapiens, maybe it was Homo Deus, where he talks about how in the future, the wars will be fought within intersubjective reality, within the reality of story, within the reality of narrative. And I think that that's where a lot of the quote unquote gender wars are happening right now. It's within the realm of story and within the realm of narrative. And so anyway, that's a little existential, but to pull it back down to reality, I think you're right. There's this there's this very big challenge that a lot of men feel, which is they're being told, specifically by a lot of women, to open up by society, by Instagram, by Facebook. It's like, open up, be more vulnerable. And then there's a bit of a mixed bag when they do it, or they don't feel like they have the proper resources to go and do it, right? They're not sure what's going to happen if they open up and say, hey man, like, listen, I'm really struggling. Like, I'm struggling to get out of bed. I freaking hate my job. I'm barely getting by. I don't know how to support myself. I'm really struggling. What should I do? Or, what have you done? And so I think that that's the inflection point that a lot of men find themselves at. And the challenge is that when we talk about some of the issues that men are going through, because statistically speaking, in a lot of ways, men are in decline, right? In decline in the workforce, they're not going to college as much. I mean, it's all stuff that you've talked about on your show before.
Lifespan, health span.
Lifespan, health span, they're living at home longer, they don't have as much money, they're not buying properties as much, they're not graduating from college. I mean, it's just like across the board, testosterone's down. It's like, there's some big things that we as a culture and as a society should be talking about. But what I've noticed is that when we want to talk about men's problems, if we want to talk about men improving themselves, everybody's for that. Thumbs up, green lit across the board. If we want to talk about the issues that men are having, that's a very different challenge. And what men are usually met with is the solution of be more vulnerable. It's like, oh, you hate your life because your wife just divorced you and left you and took the kids and half of your net worth. Just be more vulnerable. Just open up and talk about it, and that'll solve it. And it's like, well, but what about the judicial system? What about talking about some of the things that are actually sort of infringing and impinging on men's lives? And so I think some of these things are, I think that they're coming to a head in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the problem is that women are contradicting when it comes to this particular topic or anything that involves men issues. It's almost as if like women are frowned upon for actually caring about men's issues. And then y'all want to turn around and make everything about y'all when men open up to y'all. And then y'all wonder why men don't open up to y'all. Why in the hell should a man even be incentivized to open up to you when all you're gonna do is pretty much say, oh well, you just need to get over it because women got issues too. But then on the flip side, y'all complain about men not being open, not being emotionally intelligent, and all this bull crap. That's why when y'all use the word emotional intelligence, I call bullshit. Because part of being emotionally intelligent is being able to take in when somebody else is opening up to you and not being a narcissist and making it all about you. Right? But if I'm wrong, let me know, and let me know what y'all thought in the comments, man. If you're new to the platform, please subscribe. OGs, I appreciate the love and support. Make sure y'all hitting that bell notification. That way y'all know when I'm uploading. Hit the like button because it helps with the algorithm and helps me reach a broader audience. Also, look out for the travel vlog channel, Unplugged Traveler. Link is in the description, as well as my latest mixtape, Lost Music Volume 2. And if you want to purchase any other merch, spreadshot.com link is in the description. Until the next video, y'all. Deuces.